Hello guys, and welcome back to another Bookish video. Oh my gosh. Today we're going to be talking about my non-horror 2026 anticipated reads. So as you know, I'm a horror girly, but as you may have clocked this year on my channel, your girl's not reading too much horror. So I thought, since I'm really not doing the thing that my channel is meant to be, I might as well talk about some anticipated books that I would like to read this year that aren't horror. We're gonna jump right into it because we've got a list. It's not super long, but there's a few books on here. So starting off with the fiction category, we have Good People by Patmina Sabet. I believe that's how you say her name. And I'm so excited for this book. It actually sounds super, super interesting. So for this book, we're following the Sharaf family. Pardon me if I'm looking off screen because that's where my notes are. But we're following the Sharaf family, who are refugees who come to America and basically do a lot of American hard work and become prosperous and live in like a super exclusive neighborhood. They are living the high life until one day tragedy strikes the family. They are now pushed into the limelight. There's all kinds of rumors going around that maybe the family wasn't everything that they seemed like they were. So there's the question of like, were they actually the American dream family, or was it all fake? Was it all made up? The synopsis thing that got me for this book was, and I'm going to read it quote for quote, but like a literary game of ping pong, Good People compels the reader to consider what might have happened even on the previous page. Told through a kaleidoscope of perspectives, it is a riveting, provocative, and haunting story of family, sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, and the community that claim us as family in difficult times. The idea that we can't even trust the story we're being told from all of these different people, and it's going to like have this like psychological like, oh my gosh, who's telling what here, like that just really intrigued me. So I'm very excited for this one. That sounds so good. The next fiction that I plan to read is one I actually already own, which is Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. This is, like I said, a fiction. I've talked about this recently, but essentially we're following, hot take, maybe this is just a bookish opinion, I bring back summaries on the back of the book. Bring back summaries on the backs of the book. Put these blurbs inside. I don't want to see this. I want to know what the book's about on the back. Put it back on the back of the book. Anyway, we're following Waldo, who is obsessed with her teacher, Mr. Corgi, her creative writing teacher, who is married with kids. And it just kind of follows a obviously problematic relationship between a girl and an adult man who is also her superior, but it's written from the perspective of like her wanting that relationship maybe, and that's why she's pursuing him maybe. It's a very interesting idea. I'm very interested to see what this is all about. I really loved Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, so that's part of the reason why I picked this up. I would just love to hear and see more writing from her. I'm really hoping that the audiobook for this is narrated by her because I really enjoyed listening to her talk in her memoir. But regardless, I think this is a very interesting concept from the perspective of like just talking about, especially obviously right now with the PDF files that are running around this country rampantly, and the files that still have been yet to be released, and that whole conversation around girls, young children, girls, and grown adult men, and how girls cannot be the perpetrators of these inappropriate relationships because the adult men know better. You're the adult. You're the person of authority. You're the person of wit and knowledge and background. Like, you are the one that should not be pursuing this, regardless of whether a little girl thinks that you're cute. If I have to hear one more story about people victim blaming a child because she thought that this man was cute and this grown man was like, she seduced me. Ugh. The biblical culture of that is also disgusting. So Anyway, very excited to read this and clearly already have a lot of thoughts. Okay, the next book that I'm super excited to read is also a fiction, and this book is called The Witch, which, yes, the title did grab my attention. Anything witchy will grab my attention. This is by Marie Nadai. Y'all, I'm terrible at names. Please don't come for me. Please, please, please. But I'm really excited to read this book. The synopsis for The Witch, this basic story is that there are a legion family, whatever you want to call it, of witches who have suppressed themselves and who have hid themselves over the years to not be murdered, killed, taken out by the population for them being witches. And so we're following this family, and specifically this woman. Her name is Lucy, and she's from a long line of witches with powers passed down from mother to daughter, many of which have repressed or hidden their gifts to appease yucky, nasty, gross men. But against her husband's wishes, she passes her gift on to her twin daughters. And the twins pop off, y'all. The basic story that I'm getting is the twins say, we're going to actually take this into our own hands. We're over it. And they pop off. And I am super excited to see how they handle these men and how they handle their magic and how they handle their powers. I'm very excited to read this one. I'm hoping that it's a banger because it sounds really good in the synopsis idea. Is execution going to be good? That's the question. Okay, the next category we're going to be talking about is historical fiction. I do love a historical fiction, y'all. I didn't know that about myself until I started reading some actual historical fictions over the last 2 years, and it's my thing. It is my thing, and I do enjoy it. So we've got 2 historical fictions that I want to read that come out this year. The first historical fiction is Cleopatra. This is by Sarah El-Harifi. I am super excited for this because essentially what this book premise idea is supposed to be is that Cleopatra tells her story. Instead of all of these gross, yucky men, are we seeing a pattern? I think we might be telling the story for her and of how she was this terrible, awful person. She gets to tell it from her perspective as Cleopatra. I love this premise. I love this idea. You're going to see a trend here. Hold on. The synopsis that really got me was, your historians call me seductive, but I was ever in love's thrall. Your playwrights speak of witchcraft, but my talents came from the gods. Your poets sang of my bloodlust, but I was always protecting my children. How willfully they refuse to concede that a woman could be powerful, strategic, and divinely blessed to rule. Ooh, ooh, sounds good, sounds juicy, sounds like everything I want. I'm in. That's all you have to tell me. I'm in. Also, this cover though, this cover's beautiful. I love this cover. This is everything. I love it so much. The next historical fiction is The Beheading Game. This is by Rebecca Lehman. I'm very excited for this one because, again, we're talking about a woman telling her story in a way that it's never been told before. I love some history. I love knowing about history. I like understanding history. I like seeing history, and seeing history not from the eyes of the yucky men, but from the eyes of the other oppressed peoples living that history. I think it's very interesting. So one of the things that I have always been obsessed with is Boleyn sisters, the Boleyn girls, and their relationship with Henry VIII. I don't know all that much about it from a historical perspective, so don't come for me necessarily, but essentially we had these 2 sisters who were, one of them seduced the king after her other sister was pregnant by him. Keeping in mind, I'm almost 100% certain he already had a wife. Ooh, yuck. And he basically, like, hoping that she was going to have a boy. Before the baby's born, the other sister comes in and seduces him and basically is like, get with me, get with all this, leave her, and I'll give you the world. And he said, bet. And so then he gets with her and she can't have babies. She's not able to have the children. And then she does have a kid with him, but it ends up being a girl. There's potential that it wasn't even his kid in the first place. So there's a lot there. But essentially, She gets beheaded, y'all. Hence the title of the book, because he wants to divorce her and leave her so that he can marry someone else, because all this was about his succession, having a son to pass on the legacy to. And in this story, this is told as if Anne Boleyn is executed, but what if the next day she comes back for justice? What? That was a synopsis that I read. The beheading game begins in the hours after Boleyn's beheading, when she wakes to find herself unceremoniously laid to rest in a makeshift coffin, her head wrapped in linen at her knees, discarded by King Henry VIII for being unable to give him a male heir, and reviled by Cromwell for being too smart for her own good. She was ultimately executed based on trumped-up charges of adultery, incest, and high treason. Like I said, Anne escapes the Tower of London, sews her head back on, and sets out for a quest to kill Henry VIII before he can marry her own lady-in-waiting, Jane Seymour. I don't need to read any more of that. That sounds good. And I want to know all of the tea. I want to see all the revenge. Like I said, I love a historical fiction. I love learning about histories and seeing what the histories are, and to have a historical fiction retelling. Love it. Mwah, chef's kiss. The next section of books that we're going to be talking about are going to be fantasy / sci-fi. And our first book that we're going to talk about is, again, one I already own, Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman. I got this from Aardvark just this month. I'm super excited to have it. I, as you know, am reading the second book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series this week. My video will be up on Sunday. Check it out. And my husband and I basically were both like, we should read this. We should read his other book. We really like this series. Why not try this out? So I went ahead and got it. I'm very excited to see what this is all about. Basically, from the synopsis that I got, Oliver just wants to have a regular life and live on a ranch, but Earth is taken over by an alien race, and they're told that they'll be left alone, but that doesn't end up happening. The government says nah. And essentially, they have to commence an eviction action, but maximizing profits will always be Apex's #1 priority. Why spend money printing and deploying AI soldiers when they can turn it into a game? Y'all, it's another gamified alien invasion. I'm so excited. I believe this is a standalone. I'm very excited to read this one. I just can't wait. Our next sci-fi is Detour. This is a combo by Jeff Rake and Rob Hart. Also, look at this cover. It's beautiful. Also, ooh, this one is, the synopsis is what got me yet again. They get you. They know marketing. A space shuttle flight crew discovered that the Earth they've returned to is not the home they left behind. That sounds crazy. Like, what do you mean the Earth is not what they left behind? Ryan wasn't looking for trouble, just a cup of coffee, but saves John Ward, a billionaire with presidential aspirations, from an assassination attempt. Ward offers him the chance of a lifetime to join a group of lucky civilians chosen to accompany 3 veteran astronauts on the first manned mission to Saturn's moon, Titan. A devoted family man, Ryan is reluctant to leave on this 2-year expedition, yet with the encouragement of his loving wife and a giant paycheck guaranteeing lifetime care for their disabled son, he goes on this adventure. But as the spaceship is circling Titan, it is rocked by an unexplained series of explosions. The crew works together to get back on course, and they return to Earth as heroes. When the fanfare dies down, Ryan and his fellow astronauts notice that things are different. Some changes are good, such as lavish upgrades to their homes, but others are more disconcerting. Before the group can connect, mysterious figures start tailing them, and their communications are scrambled. Separated and suspicious, the crew must uncover the truth and decide how far they're willing to go to return to their normal lives. Just when their space adventure seemingly ends, it shockingly begins. That sounds so fun. That sounds so fun and exciting. I want to read that. I just want to read it. And that's a wrap on our sci-fis. The next and single solitary book is fantasy. This fantasy is called The Book of Blood and Roses. I know we're tired of things like that. It's really obnoxious, but you know, what can you do? This is by Annie Summerly, and this is a series. So this is the first book in a series, but this is about a vampire hunter who goes undercover at a mysterious university and finds herself falling in love with her roommate, an alluring vampire. This is a sapphic paranormal fantasy. And Low-key, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, the description sounds real bland. A vampire hunter goes undercover and falls in love with the exact thing that they're not supposed to love. Cliche. It sounds really boring. But when you put sapphic on there, I just feel like I have to. I just feel like I have to. So do with that what you will. The next and final category is thriller, and I have 2 thrillers to talk about. The first thriller is called 5, and this book is by Ileana Bannister, and like the cover looks kind of like meh. It don't look like anything fancy, but again, y'all, the way that they be doing their synopsises, it gets me. 5 lives, 5 stories. 4 will live, 1 will die. Who will it be? In this slow-burning masterpiece of a psychological fiction, the choice is all yours. Girl, what? Please tell me you're bringing back being able to make my own choices in a book. That was my childhood favorite thing. If y'all were around and enjoyed the series when you were younger, this treehouse something up, this is the book cover series for like the first book, and it's like a choose your own adventure. And so like you get to like a certain section and you can decide which direction you wanted to go. I love a choose your own adventure because of that. When I was younger, it was so much fun. Don't give me a thriller where I get to choose who dies. And I will be disappointed if I don't actually get to choose, by the way. I will be disappointed if you don't let me choose. If you don't let me choose, I will be disappointed. I'm talking to y'all like y'all are the author, but you know, whatever. It just sounds really exciting. It sounds very gripping. They all have these like stories, and it's basically like we get all of their stories, but one of them has to die for some reason. I don't know. I'm very excited. I want to read this so badly. And then this brings us to our final book. Our final book of non-horror that is most anticipated for a thriller book is Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. This sounds so cool and so good. A traditional American woman, a beautiful wife and mother who sells her pioneer lifestyle of raw milk and farm fresh eggs to her millions of social media followers. That sounds like somebody I know. If y'all don't know about Ballerina Farms, we're in different internet circles, and so that's just something I have to go ahead and put out now. But she suddenly awakens, cold, filthy, and terrified, in a brutal reality of 1855, where she must unravel whether this living nightmare is an elaborate hoax, a twisted reality show, or something far more sinister in this sensational debut novel. It's a debut. It does remind me of the movie. I watched the movie. I can't remember the name of it. I'll pop it here if I can remember. But it had Janelle Monáe in it. And it's about like a woman who gets thrown back in time to like a slave plantation situation, only to find out that like it wasn't actually, I mean, spoiler alert if y'all haven't watched it, it's similar to the synopsis of this book, to find out that like she isn't actually thrown back into the past. She's actually like in a modern day slavery like camp thing that's like hidden and covered up by the government for white people to live out their fantasy of owning slaves. It's quite insane. And this sounds similar just from a white woman's perspective and more like a trad wife situation. So sounds really good. Sounds really exciting. And that's that. Y'all, that's my anticipated books that are not horror. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I'm looking at you. Hit the button. You can click it. It's not gonna cost you nothing. It's for free. My gift to you, subscribe. Thank you so much for your subscription. We thank you. And also, a cool feature that is on YouTube that I haven't been mentioning, and I really should, especially because I'm a new and upcoming YouTuber with a beautiful community so far. I would love to get pushed out to more people and have more people join our beautiful bookish community. So if you can, and if you would like to, please hype my videos when you watch them. There's a little sliding bar if you're on your mobile phone. That's where I watch all my YouTube videos, where it says if you scroll on in the comment area, it'll scroll to a hype thing and you can hype the video. Just click hype and it just sends some points. It hypes me up. It boosts me in the algorithm. It gets me on other people's pages so they're seeing my videos and they're seeing me and they can join our fun little community and we can have so many more peeps here. I just would love that if y'all want to, if you feel so inclined. If you don't, that's also okay. I understand. No, I don't, but it's okay. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to see what books from this video and from the horror video that we actually get to read this year, because that's a lot of books. And y'all know we already had 120 something books on our TBR to read without all these new books popping up. So I don't know, but I hope we get to read them all. Maybe we'll do a check-in at the end of the year and see if we read any of these books or not. And if we did, were they actually good? I think that'll be a great wrap up at the end of the year. So thank you guys again for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful day and a great rest of your week. And I'll see y'all on Sunday. Bye.